Welcome to the online cookout. We are live. This is I am Clarington, Collins, the human relationship guru, and Sophie, the illustrious actress, creative consultant. I just do that. I did that.
Yeah.
All right. We're doing homeschool versus public school. A very talked about topic. And it's funny, since I've been like really researching it throughout the week, that I've actually been running into people just having those conversations on their own. And I think the reason being is because a lot of people are currently fed up with the public school system. They're trying to find some new innovative ways to teach their children, and we're really going to delve into that. We do have, hopefully we can get him on. What's his name, Collins? DoMo?
I don't know his actual name. It goes on his Facebook as DoMo,
DoMo.
Jack of all trades. Yeah,
and
DoMo.
Basically he does like the homeschooling thing.
Yeah, he has a program called Xyax, XYAYX. And I just saw it on Facebook, and he's actually they do a lot of different really cool subjects. They have martial arts as part of one of the things. They have weapons knowledge is one of the classes that they have, I believe. And they have science and from the videos that I saw, they had like science and weapons and martial arts and emotional EQ testing and all kind of stuff. So that's what I was really. It was serendipitous that we actually we had this subject coming up, because I believe it's his own actual program, or him and his brothers, I believe, and they started it from the ground up, like their own homeschooling opportunities, and they have music as well. I know that by one of the videos.
All right, I sent them an invite. I'll go ahead and text him and let me call him. But go ahead. As I get him on the phone and I call him, see if he can get in. Maybe he'll just pop up as we're talking. Let's hear you guys, your side of the things. What do you think about the homeschool versus public school? What are some of the issues? What are some of the? Let's talk about some of the misconceptions. Let's talk about all the different things that people are dealing with or people are bringing up in discussion when it comes to these two juggernauts of education. And let's see where we can inform the people. So those who are either thinking about putting their kids in public school, homeschool, or those who are adamant about keeping their kids in public school. Let's see what the numbers say. They like to say numbers never lie, but that's not true, because it really depends on how you are presenting the numbers, right? So let's go ahead and get it started. Let's go with Sophie. Let's go with Sophie first. Sophie, what's good? Let's go. Let's unmute. Let's get it in.
Okay, so here's my stance on homeschooling. I am pro homeschooling. If you are the kind of parent that is down for that. And I'm the kind of parent that's down for that. I think my only problem with it is that, I feel like if I'm going to homeschool, and this is absolutely necessary, that I need to get paid to do it, because first of all, they test your child once a year. So they're basically trying to see if you're actually like putting in the work and the time, and your kid is actually learning. So if they're going to do all of that, then, pay us. And then, especially if you have a degree, and you can actually be certified. But they don't do that. You're 100%, and this is on the website, the website for my local area, you're 100% responsible for your own resources. So you have to develop your own curriculum and all those things. And also, your child, if they don't attend like I think maybe like the last year in high school, or just like some high school, they can't get a high school diploma, but they still have to be tested every year in order for them to remain homeschooled, to make sure that you're actually teaching them things that they need to know. So I don't know. I feel like they gotta like rework that whole thing. Like for one, I want my kid to be a number that the county contributes money to. If I'm gonna be responsible for them knowing particular things every year, and the reason why, I mean, if you know you're not that parent, I mean, I feel like, hey, don't do it. But I'm that parent. Like I'm down for that. I'm down for my kids only going to do extracurricular things at school and not necessarily academics at school, because I know that I can do it. But I think if you know that you're not that parent, then of course keep your kids in school. Get your, time that you need or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, that's where I stand on it. On a personal note, that's where I stand on it. I'm pro homeschooling, but I think that the government or the district really needs to be of assistance. If they're going to be having stipulations about the whole process, then they need to make sure that they're giving you what you need to do it. If you choose to do it, if they're going to test your child and stuff like that, yeah, man. And then if you're going to test my child to see if they're up to par because of me, then you also need to give them that same certificate that you're giving the other kids that you're testing, and throw in some resources and throw in some money. You know, that's what I think.
That's awesome.
Oh, I thought I was muted that whole time.
No.
Whoa, I said a lot.
No, that's I never, that's awesome, because I've never even thought about that. Like I never even thought about the testing that is happening, and that if the kids are passing the test, they're basically doing the jobs that you would be paying the teachers to do in the public school. So might as well allocate some money for them and their resources the same way that you allocate your money for the kids that are in the public schools. I mean, that's a great perspective. I didn't think about that. Of course, the first drawback would be, they obviously don't have enough money for the public schools, right? So it's not like they have amounts left over for parents that are going to be, homeschooling their kids by themselves. But I like that being an idea to be put in the budget, especially because I don't know about the numbers, right? I don't know about the numbers, but this is a stat that I would really like to know. I don't know if Jamari came across it, but what are the percentage of people that are incarcerated that were homeschooled? I would really like to know that, because I feel like someone who is giving their child that opportunity of homeschooling, the child is going to get more attention. Therefore, the child has less probability of them going by the wayside of the system. And it would actually be taxpayers a lot less money to homeschool these kids and give them better opportunities at life, so that they don't end up becoming criminals. Now, of course, there's arguments about what does actually makes a criminal, but I would love to see how many people that are incarcerated, or what percentage of people that are incarcerated are, they're that are homeschooled based on those that aren't homeschooled. Versus the percentage of kids that are homeschooled. Like, okay, what percentage of kids that are homeschooled actually make it, in business? How many? What percentage of kids actually become teachers themselves? Is it a self-sustaining situation? Or do they? I think that'll be a great stat to really find out, or a great study to have, because if a kid has attention, that they probably need, as just an individual, then they might not get as frustrated when they get across subjects that are difficult for them. All right, they might not turn that frustration into violence or anger, because they don't have, they have someone that's there that really cares about them on an individual basis, whether it's the parent or the homeschool professional, right? I believe that, they just have a more opportunity to solve a lot of the problems that might be emotionally driven, right? That later on turn into things that cost society a lot of money, like, murder and drugs and all these things. I find it hard to believe that a high percentage, or even an even percentage, of kids that are homeschooled versus kids that are in public school would be in some kind of legal trouble that will cost taxpayers a lot more money, since we're talking about money. I mean, that's really cool, though. I never even thought about that. I never even thought like that. That's a great perspective. Like, hey, if I'm homeschooling my kids, maybe I should get paid for it. Of course, there's the argument that the payment is making sure your children are happy and educated, and that's payment enough. But that's not resources enough, because that's just not in reality, because it costs money. If you're going to get these textbooks and teach your own children, if you're going to be getting materials and supplies and things like it, it would assist. And I think it'd be a great service to society just to have more educated people. But then, of course, we got to hope that the parents are educated as well. So, but if not, and I think that's what DoMo, I'm not sure if that's his actual name, will be able to add to the table. What kind of solutions can we have for people who don't have, like you said, Sophie, you might not be that type of parent that can teach your kid or that wants to teach your kid. That might not be your thing. You might be a professional, going after things and being your businesses and doing your things, building your entire community up. You don't necessarily have time to be, spending 6-7 hours teaching your children about, arithmetic and science and all those things. So what kind of alternatives are there for people that want to have their children homeschool? They want to give their kids that leg up. They want to give them, that extracurricular courses that are there, like martial arts within the homeschooling situation. Like, that's a great lesson that you're talking. In martial arts, you learn ethics, you learn restraint, you learn focus, you learn meditation. These are all things that make a human being vibrate at a higher frequency. They become better citizens, better community members, better family members, have a certain level of restraint when it comes to their emotions and a certain outlet for those frustrations that we all naturally experience. Of course, there's some people that just learn martial arts to fight, but if you teach it to the kids from a young age, they'll understand the philosophy that comes with lots of martial arts, which is protect yourself first and, take care of yourself first, and then you don't have the insecurities that usually drive most violent encounters. Most violent encounters that happen is because somebody's afraid of somebody else. But when you have a firm grasp of your own self, your ability to defend yourself, you're not as afraid of somebody else. So you won't start fights with somebody else. You might finish them if somebody else doesn't leave you alone, but you won't start them. And I think that's a great solution for human beings as a whole. Homeschooling could have, great effects on the emotional stability of the individual children. And I was both homeschooled and public schooled. Right. So I had public school. I went to public school. First I was homeschooled up until 5, and then I went to kindergarten. Right. But when I got into kindergarten, I was already reading and doing math at a 2nd grade level. So when I got into school, I was bored. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I know how to multiply and divide, and we're learning numbers. I know how to read, and we're learning letters. So I realized that my homeschooling element put me way ahead of the curve when it came to just where my peers were within my age group. Now then transfer that into public school and having to figure out how I can bored that I just get in trouble because I'm talking or just distracted because I finished my work. And, they try to put me in gifted, but the gifted program didn't actually have anything more difficult, anything more challenging. It was just simply more work.
All right.
So to push that, that idea of maybe both, if you can't do straight homeschooling, maybe public school in addition to homeschool after the fact, because when I came home, I still had work to do. It's separate from my school.
All
right.
What did I miss? I got DoMo. DoMo should be coming in.
Awesome.
With him. We've been trying to get him in. So let's see if he can come in so we hear from this young brother.
Awesome.
I'm trying to catch up, but
so
I heard you talking about pretty much like blending the two. I'm gonna give you I talked to my boy Kevon, where he had his son. He was homeschooling his son while he had him, and when his girl got the son back. She enrolled him in public school, and he actually was like a full grade or two ahead of the rest of the kids in school. And now that he has him back in homeschool again, his son actually wants to go take a science class. He wanted to do science in school. So during the day he's at home doing the homeschool, and then when he wants to do science, he goes to the school, which I think is great. And in my research, I found a lot of people, like Einstein, Abraham Lincoln, some real intellectual people, Thomas Edison, Booker T. A lot of these guys were homeschooled. And even if they did go to public school, they went to public school later on in their life. So they were homeschooled until they're about 9 or 12. And so that's what I think that foundation, that foundation really needs to be, laid upon. Because when we think about it like this, we raise our kids, and when they turn 5 is the years where they are, considered sponges, right? They're picking up on every little idea and ideology, and they're picking up on language for the first time and learning how to read for the first time. And then we give them to strangers, complete strangers who may not be invested in their education. Just because they're a teacher doesn't mean that they're invested in your children as we would hope for them to be. Right? Because we have to remember that human beings have issues, they have problems, and then you're looking at the teacher-student ratio is unbelievable. So you got one teacher per 25 students, okay? And so now all these kids coming from different backgrounds, especially here in America, coming from different backgrounds, and now they all have to learn at a certain pace. So now you have a bell curve type of situation where you have the slow kids going to be slow, the fast kids going to be gifted, right? And then you have that middle where that's who they're really teaching to. So if your kid is gifted, you got to jump through hoops and everything else just to get your kid in some type of gifted program. So you got to talk to them and say, hey, do you know my kid is reading already? I had a coworker, a teacher said her son was already reading before he got into kindergarten. So sending him in a class with a bunch of kids saying, ask for apple, it just didn't make any sense. And as an educator, they're supposed to be able to quickly assess that, because a kid can quickly get bored, and then now you may be dealing with behavior issues because the kid is bored. Now you think the kid got ADHD because the kid can't sit still. So now you're diagnosing all these kids with some made up doggone psychological issue or disease, so to speak, right? And when they're just bored in class, right. Then you're asking a kid who spent the first 5 of his years of his life running around the house now to sit still for 7.5 hours a day, right? And then you're also, in my research, I learned this. Okay, one, when your kid is homeschooled, they're able to get better nutrition, right? They're eating. Think about this, man. Do you remember being in school, being hungry right before lunchtime, and your teacher still wants you to do work, but you're hungry? Yeah. Right? You can't really focus when you're hungry. Think about this. Teachers are telling your kids when they can and cannot go to the bathroom. That's an issue. I don't believe anybody. If somebody got to go to the bathroom, they got to go to the bathroom. Period. Right? So you got to deal with that. Right? Now we've become the overseers of people going to the bathroom. Right? And then we're telling people when they can eat and when they cannot eat. So now teachers say kids come in with food or snacks, whatever. No, you can't eat till lunch. Human beings do not wait until lunchtime to eat. If you're home all day, I guarantee you that you're snacking all day. You're going to be snacking. And it's factual that food, especially the different types of food that you eat, if they're nutritious, they actually promote thought and thinking. So if you're trying to be in an educational field where you're trying to promote curiosity and thinking, but then they're hungry, or they're eating some crap food at lunch that's not even nutritious, right? And then they come back from lunch and they're bouncing all off the walls based on what they just previously ate, right? Then we have other issues that we're dealing with, okay? So, and then and I know I'm jumping all over because I'm trying to get in. I hope he could have got in, and I really do, because and if we don't get him in today, I'm definitely going to get him in in the next one, we just can sit down and just have him talk and go over what he does as far as his curriculum. Because as Colin said, he's DoMo on Facebook, and from the pictures and the videos that I've seen, his kids, like he said, doing martial arts, doing a bunch of different things, right? Which I think is very important. Sophie, I'm gonna ask you this question. Why is it that when our kids go to school as 5-year-olds, they're not taught anything about ethics? I don't want to hear about, the kindergarten, sharing is caring, none of that, right? They're not taught, they don't go over any ethics, any morals, any community community outreach programs, anything like that, where I think we go back in the history of the public educational school system in Boston. It started with, churches creating communities to teach kids the foundation of, helping each other. Of course, they had the religious aspect to it, but for the most part, before they taught you how to read, before they taught you how to count, you had to at least learn how to treat your fellow man, how to be respectful, right? I think of a lot of kids learn just how to be respectful, because as educators, they're everything. They're sociologists, they're behavioral specialists, all that wrapped into one, and you still want them to be to educate your children. And you can't really expect the public school system, especially when you're teaching to the test, to really give you a thorough education when your kids are not mastering anything. I'm gonna let you answer that question about when kids should learn just about how to be productive citizens, and do you think they're learning that in school?
Okay, I do think they're learning that, but I think it goes back to what you said. There are kids in one classroom on many different levels, right? You have the kid that's already learning a higher level of how to respect others and themselves, and then you have the kid that's not learning any of that, and then you have the middle ground that kind of gets the gist of how to behave. And so they're starting with, they're starting at the kindergarten level with how they teach these kinds of things, because they want to make sure that everybody is covered. So I think they do, but it's at a very kindergarten level. You have your classroom rules, and you learn that you can't touch the other kid, really basic stuff. And that's their level of ethics, but it's just that some kids may come in already there, classroom ready, and then other kids come in, like you said, they might have been the kid that just ran around the house all day, and now somebody's asking them to sit down for 6 hours. So I think that's what it is. I think that they are trying to give them a level of ethics. Even at the high school level, we try to teach some kind of ethics, like with plagiarism and stuff like that. But it's just a matter of the different levels. And I just to speak to that as an educator, the things, even if you are, Jamari spoke a little bit about the teacher who's really not invested, but even if you are that invested teacher, whatever that looks like, whoever that looks like, the things that you have to get accomplished, what they want you to focus on, what you're dealing with the different backgrounds of your students, the amount of students that you have in your classroom. It's impossible for you to get the things done that you're asked to get done in a school year. And I'm just going to be honest about that. Parents send their kids, and that's not to say that the kids aren't learning. Of course they're learning. They're going to learn, because it's kind of like a productive environment and situation. But excuse me, if kids were learning I'm sorry, excuse me.
Don't die on me now.
I know, right? But if kids were learning if we really, for example, if we looked at the 11th grade curriculum and said, this is what we expect 11th graders to be able to do by the end of the school year. Parents, okay, I'm just going to be honest with you. That's impossible. With the amount of time that that we have, with the amount of kids that we have, and in some cases with the demographic, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Why it happens at home is because you have a one-on-one teacher-student ratio, and you might even have a 1-to-2 ratio or whatever it is. But for that grade level, then you have a kid who can learn at their pace, fast or slow, not be interrupted by any other kid, not be interrupted by any other school things that are going on. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like, I don't even know, honestly, like, this is a conversation about homeschooling, but on a real note, homeschooling is better for the kid because of the way that school is. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
If school had more, had something more to offer, I don't even think this would be necessary, because it's nice that there's a place for kids to go where other kids are, to learn about diversity and be in a new environment. But school is not holding up, especially public school. It's not holding up the end of the bargain. So that's why homeschooling is necessary. I taught, when my kids, there was a point where when my kids went to school, they were like 2 grades ahead. And this is from me teaching them over the summer. Not a whole school year. Over the summer, that's how prepared they were. And now, like, for the most part, a year ahead in math and reading. So to me, if I can do that over the summer, and then I send them to you, and you strictly teaching them that 1 grade level stuff that you have to teach, that middle ground, you know what I'm saying? It's like, to me, that's like a setback. And I know we're doing the best we can. Like, I'm an educator, so I'm definitely not like, downplaying anybody's effort. But let's be real about it. With all the things that are given in the situation, it's not, it's not something that can just, I don't know. I just think that homeschooling is necessary because of public schooling. It's not a matter of like, I want my kids homeschooled. It's more a matter of, I want my kids to have a really good, firm, productive education. I live in the pathway of the airport, so I'm just letting you guys know, because I know you can hear that airplane. But
oh yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, but yeah, that's how I feel. I think they are teaching ethics, to get back to the original question. But I think that it's like you said, they have to teach to the middle, You have the kid that comes in with decorum and gets it, that got it before he or she walked in the door. Then you have the kid that's got to start from scratch. And then you have the kids that's kind of like, falling in line as they learn. So, the system is just so, even if you think about the articles that are written about the time that kids should wake up to start learning, like, it's all off. It's like somebody created this system and didn't read anything about how education works or anything about how the brain works. You know what I'm saying? It's like some random person just said, of course, research is like a living situation. So we're learning stuff that maybe people didn't know back then. But it's like, okay, when are we going to adjust when we've learned something for 7 years now? The time is even wrong when school starts. Most kids would do better if school started later,
Oh, of course.
Headphones.
So yeah, that's what I think.
I'm in the charge.
Hello.
Peace. What's going on?
Hello.
What's going on, family? What's going on?
Love. What's going on?
What's going on? Tell us about yourself and your program, man. We're just getting it in. Tell us about yourself.
Okay, cool. Oh, hold on, family.
While he gets situated, while he gets situated, from what I know, this is the first time I've actually met this brother. And the King actually was recommended to me by a friend of mine from New York, because he said, like, his brother looked like me, and so I just went and started communicating, just checking out his videos, and all of his videos just had just this awesomeness in it. He was teaching these kids. He had about these 4 or 5, young, like maybe between 5 and 8 years old black kids learning martial arts and digging out, you know, with science, and then another video where they were learning music, and another video where they were like, it was so many vital lessons. I was like, man, I want to go to this school. Like, as a grown up, I want to go to the school, you know, and I wish that I had, you know, a program like that. Now, what my dad did is he would actually put me in separate programs where I could have, you know, some science, some extra science over here, and I had a little bit extra, you know, and I had martial arts over here. But to go to a place that offers all of those type of lessons, you know, and he had another one was about nutrition. They were teaching the kids about nutrition and health, you know. So of course I'm gonna let you get more into it. And now I don't know exactly how we're supposed to refer to you. Are you DoMo? Is that your name?
DoMo, yeah.
DoMo.
DoMo. Okay, awesome.
All right,
Go ahead, go ahead,
right,
my brother, get it in.
I'm good now.
What about yourself, man?
So yeah, my full family. So we actually have a studio as well in here. So I was over there where they was actually recording a video. So I couldn't talk. That's why I was like, all right. And then I was trying to get it on my phone. It wasn't working. So now I'm on the laptop. It's working. So I'm
awesome.
Feel me? So I'm actually in the school now. So I'm not sure if you guys can see. You feel me? Some of the room. You see, we got the flags up there. You know, so that we.
And can you tell the audience what are those flags, my friend?
Oh, that's the RBG flag given to us by our brother right over here. I'm saying the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvin. You know, we got to have our ancestors on the wall so the students come in here and see their people on the wall. You feel me? You know, we got the Honorable.
Okay.
Wow.
There, we got Malcolm X. We got Toussaint Louverture. You know what I mean? Booker T. Washington.
Wow.
Our whole team. So we all about Black liberation. You feel me? And Black empowerment. Teaching our kids, you know, basically education, giving them the curriculum through our lenses. Because I'm a teacher as well. I teach also in public schools. I teach in over 15 schools out here in New York, and I know that what they're doing out there is indoctrinating our students. So this is why I took it upon myself to actually educate my son, and the students that we have here. They actually just stepped out. So some of them gonna be coming back in here. So we just finished the class. Actually, we working.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So some of the youth, my son about to come back in here. 2 other students. So y'all gonna see some of the youth that we work with. You feel me? And this is the and the brother that owns the whole school, whatever. He's actually recording the video, but I want him to come talk because I met him through Sarnetta. I saw him. He was actually building on there, talking about homeschooling, and I just pulled my son out of public school. So I linked up with him, and I've been here ever since. You feel me? And that's the.
I got a question because there's a lot of people that when it comes to talking about public school versus homeschool, you know, one of the main issues is with people is, and I've seen in the comments on my Facebook and a discussion that I've been having is socialization. People say, okay, you know, homeschool kids, they don't get to learn the socialization skills and all the other skills that you would get that they would receive in a public school. How will you go about socializing and teaching your kids social skills without being around so many other individual kids?
Well, it's good that you say that, because when I started here, bringing my son here, the brother that owns the school and basically opened up the school, he was saying the same thing about, because he hasn't sent his school to public school at all. He's been homeschooling his children from birth. He has a 7-year-old and he just turned 8. So, and we have a 6-year-old, right? So he's been homeschooling them from jump. And this is another reason why he actually opened it up to the community. Too loud? It's not going to charge no more live? It's on 5. Yeah, because he got it, my fault, family, because he got to use the, this is the brother right here. Check him out, man. He right here.
Black Power, baby.
Black Power.
How you doing, brother?
What's going on, my brother?
You look like always working, you know that?
How you doing?
Yo,
What's
this is public school. This is the stream.
Homeschool versus public school.
Yeah.
That's not a debate.
Yeah.
Hey,
That's not a debate.
sure indeed. But yeah, that's the brother right there. But yeah, it was his children that I saw that he was talking about the socialization skills. Like he was like, yeah, I opened it up to the community so you know what, we can have more children around them so they can actually gain more social skills, because yes, that does happen. Children are secluded from the outside area, but that's not always that doesn't always have to happen. With homeschooling, you can also bring your children into certain zone areas, like the zone school areas. You can bring them to certain, like they can go on certain trips with students. And but my personal opinion on that is we have to educate our own, period. So if we're secluding them, so for us to unify, we have to separate from other people, period, right? So if we're going to be unifying amongst ourselves, we're going to be separating from those from the outside entities. So we opened this school for the family. So if any parent wants to homeschool their children, they can bring their child right here. We have all the tools here. We have all the books. We have curriculums. We got maps. We got the science stuff. We got microscopes. We got telescopes. I don't like to talk. We're gonna let you see everything. You feel me? We got everything up here.
Wow.
So if a parent wants to take their child out of school, they could come right here. We got all the material. I mean, this is all free. We ain't charging nothing.
Wow.
We just taking donations. We got to GoFundMe. You know what I mean? But this is all for the community. We're doing this for the betterment of our community. So yeah, we got the microscopes on deck. You see these big telescopes. You know what I'm saying? So when
That's awesome, man.
So got the solar system up here. So a lot of this stuff was also we got from the donations that the family donated to us. You know what I'm saying? So we show the receipts, like, yo, y'all money ain't going to waste. We put it to use.
And you know, don't mind, the crazy thing is just those telescopes alone. Going through public school, I can't recall ever using a telescope. My pops had to, buy me a telescope, and me and my pops would, do the astronomy thing. So even from that level, again, I didn't see microscopes until I got into probably, I want to say maybe middle school, definitely middle school. I mean, definitely high school and probably middle school. But my first interaction with a microscope was when I was 5 years old through my father. So that's another thing that I just feel like homeschooling, you're able to do so much more. And even from the social aspect, as you commented on earlier, there are so many different groups around that if you just network and meet up with local people that are doing the same things that you're doing, you can do great things, man. That's incredible what you got there. That's incredible. I wish I was in New York.
No, listen, family, we branching out. Our brother donated to us. He donated some property to us in Cleveland, Ohio, and we also got North Carolina. We got to fix it up, but he donated it to us. You feel me? So we're gonna be opening up a school out there soon. You know what I mean? It's just putting in the work. We just did a 9-city tour. We went from New York all the way to North Carolina. We was in Atlanta. We went to Chicago. We was in Nashville, Kentucky, Detroit. You know what I'm saying? We was out there talking about the homeschooling. We brother Q Butters, the one that owns the school, he does credit repair. Hey, say peace to the God. Peace. Peace
the power. Now that's power right there.
Guys in the building. Peace. You know what I'm saying? We educate.
That's power, man.
Peace and black power. Where's I at? Feel me? We always working, baby. Now, listen, we gotta understand that.
And they worried about kids not being socialized.
This is the future right here. This is the future. 10 more years. 10 more years, he's gonna be 16 years old. 20 more years, he's gonna be 26. Yeah, I'm talking to these brothers right here and this beautiful queen right here.
Definitely. Hey, make sure that you go ahead and text me that info so I can link all that stuff in the description so people know where to find you and if they need and know where to donate to your school to continue that process. You see?
Say what's up. Say peace, y'all.
Awesome.
Peace.
That's my son right there.
That's awesome.
This is brother Q.
So
this is his wife right here. You know what I'm saying?
So I have a question. I have a question. What subjects do you teach? Because I noticed that you had some martial arts. I saw you had science. What subjects and curriculum do you guys offer at your institute?
Well, the subjects that I teach, here at the homeschool, I do health, science, physiology, and anatomy. Right at the homeschool, because we have a studio. We have a recording studio downstairs.
Okay.
So There's a lot of music. So the studio downstairs usually basically funds what we have up here. You know what I mean? So they gotta make music downstairs for this to run up here, and everything's black owned. We own all of this, right? So, but for me to actually do a music class, because I'm a musician as well, I know you see that. For me to do a music class and a dance class here ain't gonna work because we got the studio downstairs. That's why we need a bigger space, a branch. So, but in the schools, in the public school system, I teach music. I teach music theory, how to play steel pan, the drums, the piano. I teach dance, Lindy hop, jitterbug, tap, break, African. I've been dancing since I was 3 years old. So I was in a dance school. I professionally dance. Also health and nutrition. Like I just started health and nutrition like maybe about a couple months back. They seen the transition into God. You know what I mean? They see me losing waist. They seen the face clearing up. I've been studying, and I'm a certified naturopath as well. You know what I mean? So I showed them all these things, and then they asked me if I wanted to teach health and nutrition in the schools. So I started with that. So now I have another subject under my belt. You got to mind the youth, them. I know they come.
That's good. That's
good. Of course, that's perfect.
But yeah, those are the subjects that I basically touch on. That's my specialty.
Awesome. And what other subjects are offered for that other people teach at your institute? Like, do they teach, math and, English and history, like, social studies and things like that? Do you guys also do those subjects as well?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, we have a whole week curriculum. So Monday, what we do is African history. So we study about the African
Awesome. That's what I wanted to know. Okay.
On Tuesday, we deal with mathematics, supreme mathematics. Wednesday, we deal with arts and crafts. So they be making their own. We have a sister that comes in. They do. They can make crystals in the jewelry. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Awesome.
So, they do things of that nature. They can do. They painting, and also we have a t-shirt printing. T-shirt printing, the heat press thing downstairs. So we have
right.
Eventually implement the students making their own designs and making their own shirt.
Wow.
So they can actually, you know what I mean?
That's fantastic.
Turn that up and becoming entrepreneurs. Learn how to think for themselves.
That's right. That's right.
Money.
That's right.
So yeah, that's Wednesday. Thursday we deal with health. That's my day. Thursday is health, science. Friday is African American history, right? So we got to break that down about African American history and about the indigenous people that was here, our indigenous ancestors that was here, the Aboriginal people.
Right.
Goes down on Fridays. Saturdays are self-defense. So we got about boxing. We got a sensei that comes in here like today. We just had our self-defense class today. We got a brother Ashanti. He come all the way from Connecticut every Saturday. Every Saturday he come out to Brooklyn to teach these kids firearms training. You know what I'm saying? So
awesome.
Wow,
man.
Wow.
We're gonna be going to the gun. We're taking them on a trip. We're gonna be going to the gun range in a few. You know what I'm saying? We working. This is and Sundays is science on Sunday. So that's another one right there. So we got science on Sunday. So it's all week. It's all week.
That's awesome.
So parents can choose their child's schedule?
Yes. Because if a child pull the too loud? My fault. So yeah, it sounds too loud. But
we can hear you. We can still hear you.
But if a parent pulls their child out of school, right, and now they basically homeschooling their child, what they can do is what we have is a homeschoolers program, homeschooling session. And then we have an after-school session. The reason why we call it after-school is because we have students that's still in day school, like they still in charter schools and public schools, but they still might want to bring their child to the school. So we have an after-school session. That will be from like 3 to 7, but the homeschool children come in from 12 to 3. So let's say they want to bring their parent. A parent wants to bring their child in on Monday for the homeschooling session. They come in at 12. And they can stay all the way to 7, and that would be that schooling session. And then if another child, if he goes to school, day school, and he gets out at 2:30, 3 o'clock, parent picks him up and they bring him here. That's why we call it after school session. They'll be here during the after school session, but they'll still get the same portion that was given to them during the to the homeschooling students, and then the homeschooling students would do a different task, or would merge them together so they can do group activities, things of that nature. So yeah, it's just all on what the curriculum is that day. Because right now, to be honest with you, we have a solid, with the homeschooling, we got a solid, I want to say 8 to 10 parents with some of their children. You're not gonna find a lot of people that's actually on this vibrance or this consciousness or this frequency to actually want to pull their child out, you know. So it's we working with what we have, you know, and we doing what we want to do. You know what I'm saying? We're not expecting to have, you know, a football field of students just yet. You know what I mean? Not in this round, not in this generation just yet. Maybe 2 generations down, there'll be other people who will wake up and you know what I mean, start implementing that. But right now, we're worrying about the collective and the people that's on the like-minded frequency. Hold on for a second. You gotta stop. Can you stop? Sit down. Can you sit down for a second? Don't be really loud and being disrespectful. I'm trying to get through this video. Sit down. Sit down. Don't get up.
I like that, man.
I love it, man. I love
that program, man. I dig that. I dig that.
Yeah, brother.
And that
this is it's about Black liberation and Black empowerment. This is how we're gonna do it. This is how we nation build. Actually change the narrative and the frequency of our youth, because it's all about the youth. The youth are the future.
And you know what I like about the program is that you not only teach, you know, African American history, but you're also teaching the history before African American history. I like the fact that they get to learn both aspects rather than just be their first encounter with history from the Black narrative is through slavery. So I like the fact that you're teaching both aspects of history.
What are the oldest African American ancient civilizations?
Olmecs. The Olmecs.
Oh, the Olmecs.
Who else?
Stop.
The five. All right, move.
Yeah, move.
Well, look, Takari, who's the 5 oldest civilizations in America? We got one. We got the Olmecs.
Be quiet. You're not in it.
What else? We got 5. That was one. Mayans. Aztecs. Start with a T. What about the T? The
Taínos.
And the Caribs. The Caribs.
The Caribs.
The Caribs.
Yeah.
Say hi.
Peace, family.
All right, this is my son. This is my young guy right here.
It's my cousin. Peace.
So this is another. All right, Takari, you all in the camera, bro. Give me some.
I love it.
But look.
Oh, okay. One question. I got a live chat. She says who creates the curriculum that you use?
We do. We build everything from scratch down. We build. Wait. I want them to see. I want them to hear this. Zai, come real quick. But yeah, we build our curriculum. But look, so my son is about to, my son is gonna be 10 on Monday, right? I'm 25 on this one. So with the charge.
So that's the charge. You can't charge it.
Wireless on live. Okay, but yeah, so I'm gonna be 26 in a couple weeks, and he's gonna be 10. So I was 15 when I had my son, right? So this is another reason why I had to grow up mentally really fast.
Very good. Mm-hmm.
And he changed my real quick when he came out the womb. You know what I'm saying? When he was manifested, a lot of things changed for me. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of these, all of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted the family to see that. So this is my young star seed right here. He's going to be taking over the mantle.
That's awesome.
My teeth look good.
So that's, you know, what's really cool, man, is that you not only are you a teacher, right, but you took the time to educate children that are not your own,
Oh, yeah.
Right, and providing a space that's also it feeds yourself as well, because your child is also gaining from that knowledge and the knowledge of others that are in the program.
Sure.
And I think that's really important for people that are considering taking their children out of homeschools, out of public school, or trying to incorporate both, is that it's a scenario that feeds yourself as well. Like, you want your children to have that knowledge, or the best knowledge, or the best leg up. And like Jamari said, if you're sending them off to strangers that you don't even know if they actually have a care for your child, let alone the ability to care, if they have the willingness to care, because they have too many children, that they're teaching at the same time. I just want to say that for the people that are there listening, wanting to learn more about, how could it be practical? I think that's one of the practical aspects. This young man had 15. Had a child, and he is homeschooling his own child. So you have no excuse that it's not possible. Like, that's a situation you'd be like, oh well, he just has to send his kids off because he wouldn't be able to survive. But he's doing it and excelling and thriving. So that's a great example. Trepidations about, well, I don't know if I can do it. Well, if he could do it, I believe anybody can do it.
Well, Collins, I think through a lot of discussions, and I think this is a perfectly good example. A lot of discussions that I've been having with people as of late, some of the concerns is, one, some people believe they can't afford for anyone to stay home and homeschool the kids, especially, if you're in an area such as, New York, South Florida, where the cost of living is pretty high. And so you have, or a single mother who can't afford to stay home and homeschool the kids. These things, are those two different videos going on at the same time? Yeah, these things is complicated. You see that? Oh, he done linked up. Yeah, so that's one of the issues with people when it comes to homeschooling. I can't afford to stay home. But again, as we see here, and as I've researched, a lot of homeschoolers create those pockets, those little pocket communities where they can all link up and get it done. And another concern with a lot of people is the testing. I think Sophie brought it up earlier about the evaluation. Now, Sophie, I think you stated every state is different as far as the requirements, as far as testing, and in some aspects, I think that is relevant, because you want to make sure, or the state wants to make sure that, because one, when you have kids, you just sign them over to the state anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But so they want to make sure that, some people are not abusing the situation, just having their kids stay home and their kids not getting educated. So at least show us some type of proof that your kids is, getting the material that they need. But also, from my understanding and from my research, homeschool kids, no matter what demographic as far as income is concerned, income has nothing to do with how well they end up testing. From the California Achievement Test to the Iowa Basic Skills Test to the SAT, homeschool kids scored around the 85 percentile on average, compared to public school kids who scored around the 50 percentile. You see what I'm saying? And so they're actually more equipped, and they hold their GPAs more so upon entering college, and they graduate college at a higher rate than kids who come from public school. And so looking at those numbers, to me, I was like, it just makes more sense. I remember my wife had told me one time, is when you teach to the test, you don't teach mastery. So they're teaching you all the stuff. They have a curriculum, and they're trying to get through all the curriculum, but they're not giving you mastery. But if you only master 20% of the curriculum, you will excel on those exams anyway. Just if you master just 20%, 30%, but you're not mastering anything. And so now if we utilize technology, if we utilize our communities, if you utilize, you have your Khan Academies of the world, all these different ways that kids can learn online and through the community, and be socialized, because you can get very creative and taking your kids out and socializing them with other people, taking them, you want to teach them about money, as this young brother stated earlier. Hey, they got to print. They're teaching their kids entrepreneurship by printing their own designs and creating their own t-shirts, and that's teaching them how to not only art, but it's also teaching them business as well. It's also teaching them finances as well. So they're getting art, science, mathematics, business, all in one thing by doing that. And I think that's what we have to get back to when educating our kids. And also from that Black standpoint that he pointed out, if we want to actually build our students up from a culture standpoint, we definitely have to build them up first, learning their original ancestry and their original history, because that is a form of indoctrination. That is a form of making a kid feel inferior if the first time they ever heard about their ancestors is through slavery. It's going to make anybody inferior to the person that's sitting next to you who may be of a different culture. And so, Sophie, I thought Sophie said something. So that in a sense, when I look at the numbers and I looked up the type of things that you can do with your kids that they may not be doing it in class. So we got a microscope at the house. You know, I got all the robotic stuff at the house. So they're not doing it at school. Matter of fact, they at my kids' school, they had 30 seats for robotics. Once those 30 seats were filled up, and that's K through 6. So they filled up 30 seats. Once those 30 seats are filled up, now the kids can't enjoy robotics.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That doesn't make any sense.
Horrible.
So if your kid wants to do robotics, they can't do it because the seat ain't there for them, right? So now you're making your kid lose out on an opportunity because you don't have enough seats to teach these type of things to your kids. You understand? So now, so we take it upon ourselves and we build that community. Now we can teach our kids robotics, STEM, and these project-based learnings and coding and stuff like that. It just makes more sense. And I think if we have these real, true conversations about it, we can build these pocket communities, right? Where, look, we're all, we know a lot of educators in the field, right? And a lot of people that are educators know about the system. And as Sophie stated, or I think one of y'all stated Sophie stated, like, if the public school system changed, it wouldn't be that bad. But the way that it is, the way that it is,
right?
And if you keep your kids in that, if you give one thing, I don't understand this, right? If my kid gets a D on a mathematics exam, right? And then you give them a D, and then you move to chapter 3. What do you think they're going to do in chapter 3 if they got a D in chapter 2, and you never retested them on chapter 2? Are you you got to be a moron. You got to be a moron to think the kid is going to do good in chapter 3 if math builds upon itself, right?
Right.
And then you have kids that enjoy science, right? Because maybe the science teacher is fun, and maybe the math teacher is boring as hell. So then your kids are going to say, I love science, but I hate math. When they both correlate, they're both the same thing, right?
Yeah.
They're both the same thing. So if your kid grows up and says, I want to be a scientist, by the time they get to high school and they find out that, hey, there's math and science, they may say, you know what, forget that. I don't want to do science because we got to take this type of math.
Right.
Right. So it's a thing that it's a conversation that needs to be talked about. And it's something that we as a community need to do, especially if we have children. We can't be afraid to pull our kids out of these public school and find a way, get them educated.
I have a question for DoMo, right? Is there any possibility for people that are interested in your program, right, to be able to, but they're not necessarily in New York, right? They're not in New York. Is there a way that they can access your curriculum or knowledge in a virtual standpoint, or some way, like say somebody's in the middle of Chicago or in Wyoming, right? But they want their children to have your type of education, not just homeschool education, but education that is also empowering around the African culture. Is there a way? Do you have any ideas on how they'll be able to access that?
Oh, we can't hear you, brother. You might have to get some headphones.
Oh, he switched over because he had to switch over off of the computer over to something else because that computer was dying.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's actually a good question. Like, would it be able to? Man, that's beautiful. If they will be able to get some of their program online, have some online content people can get online, maybe and access their curriculum. Oh, you just muted yourself.
I believe. All right. Keep on talking so that we'll hear you when you do come in. Yeah. So I mean, I think the idea that I have actually just popped into my head is like a coalition. You know what I'm saying? A coalition of where homeschool programs can all go on to, that maybe a website or something like that. Like they can just register onto a website like, hey, this is the region, this is the curriculum. If your kid is around here. Because I know that there was also another one, and I wanted to find out the information. I couldn't remember. I think it was somewhere in Atlanta. And they had these brown shirts. All the teachers had these brown shirts, and it's a collection of parents, just like in Ziax, right? It's a collection of parents that they all only teach one or two subjects, right? But the kids shift around, I believe, either from house to house, or they shift around and they have a centralized location, and the parents, chip in their day, right? But there's not a lot of knowledge necessarily about that of their existence. Like in Ziax, they had said they have eight parents, right? But I'm sure there's probably at least 100 parents in the same region, in the same area, that would want to do the same thing. They just don't know about it. But I think if there's like there could be just some place where people can go to, and some kind of registry. You know what I mean? Like some kind of registry that says, hey, you got homeschooling programs.
There's a website like that. Yes, because when I was considering homeschooling my son, well, I don't even think I had kids when I was doing this research. I think I was like getting ready to have a baby. And I did some research. I think I lived in California. And so I got online and I was looking up different, homeschooling curriculums, like what all did I have to do to homeschool. And they have a website, different websites dedicated to like linking up with people in your area who are already homeschool registered parents. And then they would have like this was California, they would have like one group would have like a field trip day, and then they would have like for the socializing part. This particular group
got it.
Did your academics at home, but for the socializing, they had like 1 to 2 things happen a week. So they have those sites, but you gotta kind of like you gotta like look it up, like dig.
Be proactive.
They're
be proactive.
Okay. Okay. So all right. So then I guess from that perspective, I would want to know. I mean, of course, we can't hear him now, but possibly maybe what we can do is have him write in the answers on the YouTube link. All right.
Yeah. I'll make sure. Matter of fact, he was responding on the live chat, but we'll make sure because he just left. We'll make sure that we get his information. There's a program around the way from me too. I think, was it you that said? No, it was a teacher. She sent me, it's an African school. It's right around the corner in Plantation. They do similar things. They actually teach Forex. She was actually teaching kids how to, man. She said her son was on there, took $5 and turned it to $50 just on Forex, teaching these kids. See, this is the crazy thing right here, man. The crazy thing is our kids are ready for that knowledge, right?
Right.
Sophie can attest. Your kids can handle an iPad coming out the womb, right? They can handle. They know how to get into it. They know how to go through different apps. They know how to log on to their favorite app, watch the videos, whatever. So teaching them things like Forex or stock trading, these are video games to them, right? And once they learn it, you're teaching them finance without them really knowing that it's an actual business aspect. It's not boring to them because you're teaching them how to do it in a fun way. And these things are actually fun. Once you learn how to do them, they're actually fun. And so their kids are capable of learning a lot more material, but it's just how you present the information to them. If you're boring, they're going to associate that thing that you taught them with being boring, and they're not going to want to do it. But if you teach kids in a fun way, they're going to want to do it. I remember, I think I told you the story with the phones. Oh, come on, what, somebody. I was in 8th grade, and we was having a science fair, and for the science fair, I wanted to build a robot, right? And at the time, my father, he was in the field, you know, in the military, they go in the field for like 30 days, something like that, right? And so my science teacher, Mr. Child, he's like, cool, we're gonna get you and find someone to help you build this robot. 2 weeks, I'm seeing all the kids around me, they're working on their science fair project, and I just want to build my robot. He couldn't find anybody, so you know what he told me to do? He said, man, just do one about paper airplanes.
Oh, come
paper
on,
freaking
man.
airplanes, man. Paper airplanes, man. And so I ended up having to do a science project about paper freaking airplanes. It was the most boring project I ever did. You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to do robotics, but at that time you couldn't find any programs that was doing robotics. You're gonna find that most people that are in those fields, like, you know, the Zuckerbergs of the world and the Gates of the world, their parents just happen to be involved in computers. I know Mark Zuckerberg, I heard his story that his father, I think, bought him a computer when he was 10 years old or 11, learned how to take it apart. He started coding, making video games for, I think it was tic-tac-toe, coding tic-tac-toe for his sister, and it just got more and more complex. You know, they don't start out just learning coding and it's, well, no, they learn coding through a very fun way. And look what he was able to do by the time he got to college. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of these things that are relevant, that can be readily applied to a kid's life, is actually some of the stuff they're supposed to be learning. They can learn at home and learn through different individuals in those fields. I was even thinking about, just think about this, man. You're homeschooling your kid, and you're able to take your kid to on a doctor visit, and the kid is able to ask the doctor, like, what does he do? Like, you have your kid formulate a list of questions when he gets to the doctor. Hey, what do you do throughout the day? You know what I'm saying? Just so he can get that, you know, he's getting exposed directly with people in these certain fields.
Right.
And you're taking them around and exposing them to all these different fields, and they're not just sitting in the classroom learning from a teacher who sometimes don't even want to be there themselves. Right? I'm gonna tell you one thing, Sophie, and I'm gonna turn it over. I'm gonna tell you one thing that I know for a fact, right? Elementary teachers, especially the smart aleck ones, jerks, the kids turn into jerks by the time they get to high school. By the time a kid gets to high school and he's been put down so much by teachers, he don't want to hear nothing the teacher got to say to him. Right? Yeah. I've had kids tell me, I had a student that was that's a boxer, and I actually went to one of his fights, incredible kid. And he came to me one day and he said, hey, Mr. Clarington, do you think I could be a boxer? So you can be at everything you want to be. If you tell me you want to be a boxer, I'm gonna believe with you, I'm gonna roll with you. What you want to be a boxer? He said, yeah, I want to be a boxer. I said, do what you gotta do. And he always trains. He won the fight and he brought the belt right to my classroom. And he said, oh, at that time he told me the reason why he came was because the teacher told him that he needs to try something else. Like, being a boxer ain't the way to go. So I said, listen, don't listen to that dumbass teacher. If you want to be a boxer, right? And so when he won, he had won some belt, and he brought it to me. He said, yo, I appreciate you just believing in me, right? And then he invited me to one of his fights. I ended up recording, going there my camera and taking some photos and recording his fights. And to this day, he's on his way to be a pro fighter. And I got another one that's on his way to, matter of fact, his is November 8th. He's about to be an MMA fighter.
Wow.
A lot of them just want somebody to believe in what they want to do. And then you got, look, if your parents don't believe in you, if your mom, you come from a single parent household, and it happens to come from a single parent household, your mom was always working all the time, and you're looking for somebody just to believe in what you want to do. And you go to your teachers who are supposed to have all the knowledge or have some of the knowledge, and they don't even believe in you. You see what I'm saying? It can be very detrimental to what you want to do in the future. And I think this is why a lot of times these kids need other forms of learning, and whether that be homeschool slash public school or public school slash homeschool or however you want to do it. I just don't believe that our kids' education should solely come from the public school. And we really need to have that conversation, have those groups where they have other alternatives of getting fed. That's my stance. And my kids are getting out of public school. I'm pulling their asses out because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of dealing with stupid ass teachers who think they know know a lot, and they don't know anything. And you're an elementary teacher, and you're telling kids listen. The only reason why these teachers can get away with they get away with elementary school because these kids are elementary students. Half of them teachers can't talk to the little 17-year-olds that I got to deal with like that. Them kids ain't gonna have it.
Yes.
They ain't gonna have
right.
I agree.
It's not gonna happen.
So well I had a all right, sorry. Was DoMo, are you able to talk again? Are we able to get the audio from you?
Nah, but he said no, but hey, DoMo, go ahead, type in the live chat.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Type in the live chat and make sure, again, I'm gonna get your info, I'm gonna get your contact info, and we'll probably do another one-on-one. Where we'll do another one-on-one later on. We can go deep into the curriculum. You just tell us a good time to hit you up, where you can do more conversing about which our curriculum is, and definitely he put the website up. The website is xyayx.com. And I'm gonna put that in the description so everybody can keep up and follow along, and I get that information where people can donate, and so they can expand, because it's always good. You always want those type of programs to expand. Other than that, Sophie, Collins, you got anything that y'all want to get off before we?
Well, I did have So what I wanted to share with like the listeners that are out there, each individual, you're a master at something or on your way to mastering something. Someone may be a master chef, someone may be a master, mathematician, and be a master esthetician, beauty products and all these things like that. Everybody has their own mastery or things that they're really blessed and good at. And the idea that I had to contribute to the positive development of our youth, is find out what you're good at, because this is what I'm going to do with DoMo's program, and I'm gonna right, because I don't necessarily have a bunch of disposable income that I could use to donate to the program financially, but what I will do is donate mentally, physically, and spiritually, right, by sharing the things and the lessons that I know in his program. So for people that are out there, you're good at something. You might be great at sewing, at crocheting. You might be great at whatever. Think about how you can contribute to the children in your area, your own kids, and if you don't have any kids, just the general population of students. And, that might make it a lot easier for some of these programs to get off the ground and for it to be a practical solution for you. Because, hey, I'm donating it for free. Right. So if I'm donating it for free, then you might be willing to, Jamari, you might be willing to donate some of your services as a business consultant, to teach the kids about business development. That might be something you might be willing to teach the kids, Sophie, whatever you're awesome at, you might want to teach some acting classes. Right. To the kids, give them some right. Sophie. Give them some acting classes, some career coaching, career development, things like that. And so, one by one, the community will start to actually develop like that, just on an organic basis. Maybe contact Ziax and put it out on your Facebook. Like, hey, any kids out there, any parents out there got any kids that want to learn music? I know music, so if some kids in the area, want to take an hour a week and learn this program and this program or this thing that I'm good at. If I'm good at coding or I'm good at this, maybe donate our services so that like you said, in maybe 2 generations, it'll be a normal situation just to be like, hey, neighbor, I'm good at this. I want to teach your kid this, or, hey, I want my kid to learn this. I know that you work at this place. Would you be willing to donate your time or your services so that the village can come back and the community can come back on a practical level so that we're worried about money being the reason why we stop our education, because it doesn't really matter how much money you have. If you're not spending it on making your children and your own lives better, you're wasting it, you know. And the practical application of budgeting your funds. So I know a lot of people that are they complain about the money that it costs for their kids, right? But then they have their nails done, you know, and they have the iPhone 8, you know, and they have a big screen TV. These are not priorities, and these do take the same amount of money that it might take to enroll their kid in a special program that will allow them to excel. Maybe go without the TV and the subscription and make your phone bill real simple, and don't be on it for 4,000 hours of the day, you know, using up your gigabytes, so that you can cut those costs and take that same money that you're making that you don't have to spend on the extra things and the nicer car and the things like that, and the hair done and the nails done, and, you know, the drobe and the wardrobe and all these things. Take that money and put it towards your kids' education. You may not have to actually make more money. You may just have to allot your money so that the resources that you're using are going towards building yourself and your children. You know, and I think that's budgeting your own self can make a practical impact upon the financial aspect that hinders some of the parents from enrolling their kids in programs like Ziax and other programs, right? Actually, but you have no excuse because Ziax is free. And I'm sure there are other ones that are out there that are similar, you know. So like Sophie said, you know, do your research, find out exactly what it is that is available to you. And if you see a gap, either fill it yourself, you know, or look to those that are in those communities that are already doing those things to find out how they can be filled. You know, you might want to teach your kids, you know, you might be from a Hispanic background. You want to teach your kids Aztec, you know, culture and Aztec history and Mayan history and the Olmecs, of where we all came from the South America to the Americas, right? Which are the ancient African civilizations that were there, that traveled over there from the ancient times. You might want to let your kids know that, you know, and if you don't know it, that's cool. There are other places that do, you know, and be aggressive about the research you do, and be aggressive about your kids getting the best that they can get, you know, and be humble about your own living situation so that you can sacrifice a little bit of the extra little perks so that your children can flourish and blossom, you know, exponentially. And then that's my idea. That's something that I do. I budget my days and my time and my money. I live below my means so that every little bit of resources that I have the ability now that I can now donate my services, you know, and things like that, because make it practical, you know, for those who are struggling with the practicality of homeschooling. And that's my piece.
All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I like that, Colin. I like that you said you were giving us ideas about how we can get something jumping off over here, because I'm all about that. So that's really cool. And another thing that I like that you said was, I mean, or alluded to, every child is different. And there is no way, with the way that public school is set up, that these individuals, these unique individuals that carry a gift, all of them are going to be able to access that gift. It's just not possible. And they need to be in a place that's nurturing for their specific uniqueness. Everybody has something. So, I mean, the way they're like cattle in public school, just like we're like going to work, the 9-to-5 thing. Sometimes when I'm driving and I'm looking at the cars on the road, I'm like, this is crazy how they got us out here like this. You know what I'm saying? But it's the same concept for the kids. It's the same concept for the kids, you know? And so, yeah, I'm down, Jamari. If you want to get something started, I mean, even if it's in the sense of like an after school type thing, until we can really like make that leap of faith, I'm down for that, because the way this thing is going, it's just too much. And I'm really inspired by you, DoMo. I really am inspired. I'm so glad that they got you on here, because if I wouldn't have heard someone say this, that they have this kind of program in existence, I'm still scared. But I feel like now I'm feeling a little more confident, like, okay, someone's out here doing it. So, you know, I can at least try, you know. So, yeah, I think it's important for the individual child, because all of these children, I meet these kids every day at work, and I'm like, this kid is gifted in this, and this kid is in this, but nobody is ever going to be able to call them out, because they're really just a number in public school, you know. And so that's as far as the ability is going to go, unless it's being nurtured at home. And sometimes that's not, you know, that's not an option. Sometimes it's not an option because of neglect, but sometimes it's not an option because parents are also cattle and they have to go to work and they have to.
Right.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, yo, I'm telling you, man, they working on it. They don't want this frequency to get out there. Not too long.
Oh yeah, they're gonna try and hinder it. But
how long this live stream going? How long y'all keeping this going for? The rest of the stream.
Yeah, I think we're closing up right now.
Done? All right, cool. No worries. Yeah, man, because we got another interview coming up.
Okay, awesome.
Coming on here.
We're definitely be in contact, and whenever we do this again, and if it's a topic that definitely I would like to bring you in, we're definitely open to bring you in and again and hear more about the school, my brother.
Oh, true indeed. Yeah, man. Just want to let the family know that's listening. Thanks for coming out to you know what I mean, taking this powerful information. Just letting you know that, like the brother said earlier, ain't no debate about homeschooling or public school. We gotta understand that we have to educate our own. You know what I'm saying? Regardless if you're having your children in your home physically, or you taking them out to a black institution that's schooling your own. You know what I'm saying? That nobody says anything when you see the Jews educating their own. I'll give you one example before we leave. So one of the public schools I was teaching, right? Well, I actually used to teach in this school like about 4 years ago in Queens. They had 3 different programs in there. One of the programs I was basically working with, and then they had 2 other programs in the same lunchroom. And it was both the programs, one of the programs I was with, and the other program was mixed kids. But then we had a Chinese program, right? They was on the far side of the lunchroom, and they had their own lunches with their own languages on it. They had their own, there was only Chinese.
Wow.
They spoke their own language. You understand what I'm saying? So, and it was only Chinese students in the same building, in the same institute. That's what I'm saying. So, technically, that's them homeschooling their own. I'm not saying it don't have to be physically in their own, but they're sending their child to a program where it's only them. Where, right? It's only the only staff members working with them is people that look like them. You know what I mean? I couldn't go there with a like, yo, I'm here to teach dance. What's up? Hire me. I need a job. They're gonna look at me like I'm crazy. I don't have, you know what I mean? Their phenotype. It's not for me. So I have my own youth that I need to be educating. We need to be focusing on our youth. Everybody is doing the same thing, but us. And that is our issue, because the youth is the future. I will keep repeating it. Repetition is the best teacher. You have to keep hearing this, because we keep forgetting that 20 years from now, your children are going to be adults. We're not thinking far ahead. I'm thinking about, you know what I mean? I'm thinking about my future grandson right now. I'm trying to make sure he has something to inherit. You know what I'm saying? That's we need to start getting some land, really building proper economics for our children so we can leave something behind for them. This is what, you know what I mean, our president is doing, you know what I mean, with their lineage now. And we're not leaving anything for our children at all. We get jobs, we get pension, you get 401k or 1k, whatever. You get your Social Security, and you're done. Your child has nothing to take in from you, because you want to be indoctrinated, not to learn shit. So now you're ignorant in this world, in this society, in this fictitious world that we live in, this matrix, and now you're stuck. You're stuck out there in the wilderness with nothing to do. We have you. It's just, you're just ignorant in the world, trying to make do, trying to make ends meet. You feel me? Instead of actually learning from your youth, from the age that you were born out of. You know what I'm saying? From your own people. Like, this is how you do it. Teaching them in certain ways. Education, not indoctrination. These children are in school for over 8 hours a day, sitting down. They probably go out maybe 45 minutes for recess or lunch.
If that.
And 40, yeah, if that. And then they get a little gym time. You know what I'm saying? And then they have after school from 3 to 6. So that's almost half their day that they're not even with the parent. The school is raising the child.
Right.
You're even seeing your children. You don't even know. And then your children are in the school eating all the fucking poison, the food that is not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the child come home, you know what I mean, with a sugar rush or headaches because he has the lack of dehydration or a lack of oxygen inside of the brain. And then you wonder why your child acts like this towards you. Because you're feeding them garbage, You're sending them out to the oppressor to be educated. He's being indoctrinated by the oppressor out there. They're sending you back home. You're sending your child to the Romans, and then they come back to you like Caesar. You're sending your child to the European, and they come back to you a nigger. They produce the nigger. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
You need to
right on, man.
change the narrative. If you keep the child in the house, and even if you do send your child out, even if you do send your child to public school, you educate them. Everything starts at home. They should not, anything they say in the school should not overrule what you're saying, because you're the parent. It's your child. You own what's going on in that child's life. You understand? So this is what it's about. We have to remember that it's all with youth, and that's what I'm about. I'm always for the youth. This is why I've been a teacher for so long, and I love teaching youth and molding them, because I understand that they will be the future. They are gonna basically take our mantle, take our baton. You know what I'm saying? They're the one to hold down what we've been doing for so long. If all these lectures and all these debates that all these quote-unquote conscious people want to do, if the children don't get this information, this is all for nothing.
Exactly.
Just people talking.
Right.
Because the children now didn't get none of it. They're still in the schools being adopted. So they're gonna grow up, and you're gonna have the same cycle perpetuated. Versus, you know what? Actually get this into the youth, so when they grow up, they don't have to have these shackles on their brain, and we don't have to start, you know what I mean, saying like, breaking down these lies to them, like, okay, you're not good, you're not that, da da da. Oh, like the same thing like with these pagan ass holidays. You gotta break Santa. You know what I'm saying? You gotta tell them that Tooth Fairy not real. All this fictitious shit. You know what I'm saying? So all of that stuff, we gotta break up. It's not just school. I remember I teach holistic health, so I teach a holistic everything. So it's not even just school. You can homeschool your child and still be fucking up.
Still mess up. And still mess it up. And still mess it up. I think a lot of I just think a lot of you know, people at the end of the day, I've heard, you know, people say that, you know, just based on the fact that they're afraid of keeping their kids home, when just the numbers, at the end of the day, your kids are exposed to more drugs going to public school. Your kids are pressured to have sex at an early age going to public schools. Your kids are bullied at public schools by people who you would never have your kids be around in the first place at public schools. And so having a homeschool, you're able to at least raise your kids. You know, and I said earlier, a lot of people that homeschool their kids, a lot of, you know, intelligent people at least homeschool their kids until the age of 9 or 12 or 14. Some people even send their kid back to public school their senior year just to go ahead and finish everything up. There's so many different ways of doing it. And I think, like, again, as more we have these discussions, the more we pull out of the public schools and begin to create our own pockets, I think that would, you know, ultimately lead your kids to being fulfilled and finding what they're really good at, because you're actually able to expose them to a lot of different things, especially being creative. And I know, Sophie, you're very creative. I know my wife is very creative. And I know when it comes to creating curriculum, we are very creative people, and we don't like to sit around and be bored anyway. You know, we just don't like to sit. This is why when, and it's a fact that when these young black, especially the young black boys, when they come to school and they say they got ADHD, it's not that, it's that these kids come with high energy, you know, very high energy. And I always tell my students when I have a kid to say, oh, I got ADHD, I said, if I run your ass around that damn track a couple times, you ain't gonna have no ADHD. You ain't gonna have ADHD. Tired. You just got a lot of energy. You need to go run around, go do some exercises, go to the park. You're not gonna have that. There's never been a time in human history that human beings sit down for 7.5 hours a day. They just don't do it. You know, it just until recently, when the last 150 years, more so the last 80 years, that we're telling kids that sitting down is the best way of learning, but that's not how humans learned throughout history. They didn't just sit down. There were apprenticeships. They learned through having their hands involved in it. You even have major corporations like, you know, Google, Facebook, Apple, they tell them, like, that's not, if you ever see the Google building, you gonna see how they work. They got skateboards, they got beds, they got They got holistic foods. They got all that stuff in their freaking building, right? So they're even saying, we don't want boring people. We want people that, because they know in order to think creatively, you got to be on your feet. You got to be moving around. You got to be free to move and to think. So they're not even getting the people that, they're not even getting the traditional kids. They want the kids that are outside of the box. I don't want somebody who's been programmed to be in an assembly line. That's not the person I want to hire to be a creator. I want somebody who thinks completely outside the box, who's done way more activities and been exposed to a lot more things than a kid that's been sitting behind the desk and been told what to do and been told what to memorize. And once we stop teaching to a test and we start allowing kids to be free in their thinking and allowing kids to make mistakes and then find the correct ways without feeling, without being shamed for having the wrong answer, because a lot of teachers shame the crap out of kids, you know. And it is funny that teachers got to get all smart aleck with, you know, be smart with kids when they're, you know, obviously they came to learn from you.
Right.
And it's just a lot of things I just don't like when I deal with teachers every day, and I tell teachers straight up, like, there's a lot of teachers I just don't like the way they respond to kids. They're just kids, and kids are supposed to make mistakes, and they're supposed to come in your class and not understand certain things. It's a part of learning. And once you understand that not understanding something is that's just a part of life, there's no reason to get mad, and eventually they're going to get it at their own freaking pace. At their own pace. If I'm teaching economics and a kid came in knowing absolutely nothing about economics and they left my class knowing 30% more, then they learned. They learned, and that's the most important thing. The most important thing at the end of the day is learning. And I think, again, we got to find a way, because the public school system has to change. You're still teaching kids the same way you did 80 years ago, and that's crazy. So again, I appreciate everybody. Who's that? Who's that in the background?
That's the brother Q, man. This is the one who runs the school, man. This is well, we run it together. There's a different volunteers that work and volunteer here. But this is the brother who started it. This is the reason why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted him to chime in before we cut out. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. Go ahead.
He's been homeschooling his children from birth. Not me. See, I just got on it. So, you know what I mean? He's definitely the one that you want to, like, get some information out of real quick before we get up out of here.
Awesome.
What's good, family?
Awesome, man.
Oh.
Thank you for being a part of this. I know you got another interview coming up. We just wanted to ask first. Well, actually, I would like to ask, what inspired you to create an actual program? You know, for that you can allow other kids to come in and be a part of.
The need for one.
Awesome. See, practical solutions. And now he was telling us about the curriculum and the things like that. When other people are wanting to learn more about getting hooked up with your program and other programs like it, you know, he told us that we can go to your website. Do you have any other information that you would like to share for any interested parents that would like to either support what you're up to and or, you know, be a part of your program?
Well, if both of you and the mother, father of the child is black, we try to clean towards that.
Okay.
Vet yourself before you come here. You know, we're not with the typical shenanigans that you find.
Okay.
So, you know, before you come here, there's plenty of other organizations that have programs available. You know, just regular Joe Blow black kids. Come here, we're looking just for people that's really about that hardcore RPG life, that's about and developing that community. We're not looking for no handouts. We're just looking for work and figuring out, like you said, practical solutions to basic, you know, situations and struggles that we have in our community. You know, and just keeping as basic as that. You know, don't come here looking for the LBG flag. Don't come here looking for Planned Parenthood. Don't come here looking for white kids. Don't come here looking for unity conferences. Don't come here looking for any of that. Just come here looking for black people, black babies in a black building, black people on the wall.
I love it, man. That's so awesome. Oh, man. That's hilarious, man.
Some people that
I mean, and that's definitely Yeah, that's definitely a need for that, because like you said, like Damo said, yeah, the Jewish kids do have their own programs, European kids have their own programs, Asian kids have their own programs, and actual African kids in Africa have their own programs, but African kids over here, we don't really have that many things that are specifically about our empowerment, and so I think that's actually very important. And I'm all, I'm all for the practicality of we all have to know how to deal with each other, but you don't know how to deal with someone else if you don't know how to deal with yourself, and you don't even know yourself until you're educated about yourself. So it's very important. So I thank you. Thank you for just providing.
We appreciate it, family.
Appreciate you guys, man.
And we'll definitely be in touch. Thank y'all for coming out. That's about it, man. We done hit the 2-hour mark, so we about to get up out of here. I appreciate y'all coming in. Enjoy y'all Saturday. Thank you for coming out from New York. We're down here in Florida.
No, Brooklyn
and Cali. So we appreciate y'all. Make sure you text me the information, all right, so I can put it in the description, all right?
Yo, send us your logo. We can promote y'all on our website.
Appreciate it, family.
Yo, send them the logo so we can promote y'all.
Awesome.
All right, have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, peace.
Thank you. Peace.